Good morning, respected panelists and viewers. I am Trupti from Team Credai. I also take this opportunity to thank and express our gratitude towards everyone working at the front line and helping us stay safe. That is, our doctors, police force, Swachhata workers, people providing us with continuous supply of food and milk, our volunteers, government officers, and everyone risking their lives. I would also like to thank our partners, Deconic and Godavari Paints. The fund from them will be donated to our fight against Corona. Deconic is from Belgium, manufacturer of UPVC windows, associated with MCHI since last 3 years. Godavari Paints is in business from 1960. We are glad to share that these brands are part and are supporting us in such tough times as well. Thank you, Deconic and Godavari Paints. We have always and will reciprocate the same. Thank you, Eric. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Trupti. Appreciate those kind words. And now I'd like to introduce Amit Jain, who's going to lead our first panel as a moderator, and he can introduce the panelists, and we'll kick this off right away. Take it away, Amit.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Trupti, for a brief note. And thank you, panelists, for joining us today. Good morning, everyone in India. This has been a pleasure to talk at such an esteemed panel and kind of understand what is the landscape of the real estate industry. Just on the broad theme of today's discussion, we're going to discuss on COVID, how COVID-19 is reshaping the AEC real estate market. And we have in our audience an architect, design professionals, executives from engineering and construction background, real estate developers, investors, and there are many students also. So we'll try to balance our discussion today to give a perspective around how we going to see technology, and we will focus more on the technology because there had been in the past few events and webinars which were on the broad industry landscape, and we will focus more on how technology can play a role out here. Let me begin with a very small note around why this is important, and then I will request each panelist to kind of give a brief introduction about themselves, and then they will go about this. So one of the key themes which we want to talk today is that adoption of technology is going to be a way forward for faster recoveries and long-term sustainability. And along with your introduction, what I want you to give me a one sentence or a one answer, which is technology going to be relevant, very relevant, or not relevant? So I would want you to kind of start introducing yourself and kind of also give a one-liner whether in your view technology will be relevant or not. We can start with Mr. Sanjay Ghodawat, and then we'll go in the kind of Q&A. I can just say the name. You have to unmute yourself. Sanjay, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah. Sanjay, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody, all the panelists and viewers. I am Sanjay Ghodawat, founder, chairman of Sanjay Ghodawat Group. We are located in the area of Kolhapur, and we have established this group in 1992. And we are diversified our group into aviation, education, FMCG, mining, real estate, and textiles. So thank you very much for inviting me as a panelist.
Thank you. And just one question. Do you think technology will be relevant?
Yes, relevant.
Sure. We'll go to Mr. Amol, Amol Shimpi.
I am architect Amol Shimpi. I am currently Associate Dean and Director for RICS School of Built Environment, Amity University, Mumbai. We are in the profession of providing management education in real estate and construction project management. I carry a 25 years experience of real estate, construction and infrastructure, and many thanks for inviting me to be on the panel and air the architects as well as the construction and real estate professionals' views from my end. My answer to your first question will be yes, technology will be very, very relevant.
Very relevant. Venki, do you want to give an introduction?
Yeah.
Venki?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Warm welcome to all the participants. My name is Venkatesh Gopalkrishnan. I'm the CEO of Shapoorji Pallonji Real Estate. The Shapoorji Pallonji Group is a 155-year-old group and a leading construction and real estate development group in India. And to answer your question, I think extremely relevant. Technology is going to be extremely relevant.
Okay. Sharat, do you want to
Yeah. Hi, this is Sharat Goel. Thanks for having me on the panel. I work for AMP Capital. AMP Capital is a Sydney headquartered asset manager. We manage about $160 billion worth of assets. Our presence in India and expertise is primarily around infrastructure private equity. And globally, we have very strong exposure to construction, large scale construction projects, such as airports. And in terms of technology, I think technology has been extremely important for a long time, but in the current circumstances, one will have to completely rethink the technology paradigm. Thank you.
Sure. So then we'll look forward to a lot of your views on the investment, where the money is going to flow. Rahul, over to you.
Sure.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone, and thanks, Amit. My name is Rahul Rai. I am from ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund. I head the close-ended real estate fund business of ICICI Prudential. We are essentially financial investor. We make financial investment in residential projects and also office assets. We have been doing this for the past 13 years, and I look forward to this panel and see, I look forward to the discussion here. I believe going forward, the technology is going to become extremely important for all of us.
Mr. Goel.
You see, basically, good morning to all of you. By qualification, I'm a chartered accountant and also an MBA. Now, I'm heading Indian operations of a German company, which is Hettich. We are in the business of furniture fittings and door hardware. We are the market leader. Besides looking after Indian operations, I also look after Middle East and also Africa. So it's a quite different game. When coming to the technology, I say definitely separate, definitely inseparable. Today, every part of the life, you will find technology invading. But I've got only one view. Today, virus is disturbing our life. Tomorrow, what happens if the bug, some bug or some virus disturbs our, I'm saying, technology-enabled life? So we have to prepare for that as well.
As well, makes sense. Ms. Maisha.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I am Mayur Shah, MD Marathon Group. Marathon Group is in a real estate and construction for last almost 50 years. We are focused in Mumbai MMR region, and we are into all segments from low-cost housing, affordable housing, high-rise residential, and corporate office parks. I am also a past president of Credai MCHI with more than 1,500 members in the Mumbai MMR region. I strongly feel the technology will be very, very relevant in this time.
So wow, so we have 100% view that everyone believes that technology will be relevant now. So let me move to the next question, therefore, and which is very critical, that if that be the case, just in one line, what according to you will be that technology which will be most relevant in the overall spectrum, whether it is processes, whether it is design, whether it is construction materials. So in your, or going to the last end of sales. So what according to you is that one technology which will be most relevant now in just one line? We can go reverse this time. So we can start with Mayur and then go. And just one line, I'll just, want you to just answer in one line.
Yeah, in my opinion, digitizing entire marketing sales process and generating revenue. So you have marketing, sales, doing agreements online, paying stamp duty, doing mortgage, and the loan sanctioning and disbursal. I think that is the thing, the shortest time we can really generate revenue from sales.
So digitizing the sales processes. Mr. Goel?
You see, according to me, every process has to be digitalized. It is impossible to survive in today's environment without going for electronic, any business which is digitalized. As I said earlier, the only problem which I foresee that we will not be properly prepared to handle any bug or virus, which will put everything to, major disruption.
Rahul?
Yeah, I think, technology will pervade everything, all the aspects of operations. But I echo Mayur that sales will be very critical. That's one aspect that has been very physical. So I think the virtual reality selling and the internet sales will be going forward, developing those aspects will be very critical.
Sure.
Hello. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think the in our perspective, customer experience and customer journey through infrastructure facilities or even real estate facilities like malls, etc., will be very important. What is the experience that you are able to deliver through technology is critical there.
Interesting. So the entire customer journey going forward will have to be relooked at, and how the technology can kind of come forward with. Venki?
Yeah, so,
Hello.
so I think this
Venki,
is a unique case where you, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so this is a unique case where we've had supply side as well as demand side disruption. So I think to cater to both, even the speed of construction, project planning on the supply side, right through your entire value chain, vendor network, the use of technology is going to be very, very critical. And as the other panelists said, on the demand side, the way in which you're going to handle your entire CRM process in a more digitized, a more virtual manner is going to be very important.
Sure. So I think the processes on the supply and demand side is critical from your perspective. Do we go to Mr. Shimpi?
Yes, what I would say is that entire process industry or the services which is the biggest contributor to our economy, that should get digitized, number one. And number two is education. That is something which has to get digitized. I would like to put here on record that RICA School of Built Environment didn't lose a single day because of lockdown or something, because we immediately went online and continued our sessions until April 30th. We'll finish our entire work as far as sessionals are concerned. So I think education going online is also going to be a very important kind of a sector. And that's also going to have a lot of implications on real estate requirements as well.
Makes sense. Mr. Ghodawat, you come from a diverse background of running multiple businesses. What do you think? Which all areas would be relevant from a technology perspective?
Technology should be utilized everywhere, right from the construction to sale as well. So technology makes the difference, and technology, because of technology only, we can start at the raw material. We can produce raw material at lower cost, and sales will be easier because of technology.
Sure. So let me, so there is a diverse kind of a perspective around that, from sales to processes to manufacturing to technology overall will play a role. So if I were to kind of, and now we'll just kind of go a little more, into deliberation about, some of the things which we're talking about. So there is going to be a change. The change is something which will be a very, very constant affair going forward. And there would be, because of this change, there will be a change in consumer behavior, their buying pattern, their spending pattern, and all this kind of stuff. So from that perspective, you were to build the future cities, or if you were to build the future infrastructure, what changes you would do in terms of, or what changes you would want to be there from your perspective, so that while you're in your drawing boards, thinking about the new landscape, what should be those, and how you can kind of adapt those changes from a technology perspective as well. Anyone can start. I mean, Sanjay, Sharat.
So pricing and sizing, every disruptions we have seen in real estate, there is an impact on price, and as a matter of fact, the size also. So yes, what we feel is that particularly urban area like Mumbai and all, you will see again a reduction in sizes. So the challenge of the design will be that how do you really accommodate all the usages, whether living space or the bedroom space or the kitchen or the study, in the smallest size apartment. And maybe you'll have to come up with some innovation like the living room converting into bedrooms at night. One more other thing which we have realized is that small open spaces attached to the flats are appreciated during this lockdown time. And I think the designers would go back to small decks, small terrace which are connected to the living rooms and bedrooms. And as an MCHI body, we will definitely like to put to the government bodies also to incentivize such spaces in the buildings.
Mr. Shah, I have got a complete different view on the situation. According to me, this crisis will expand the business of reality. I was talking to many Europeans, and they are all of the view that basically houses will become more and more compact. People will start spending more money on home and home improvement rather than curtailing it. For example, kitchen will become bigger and also enough space for storage the material. Home entertainment, you want to have own workplace. You also want home entertainment, a gym. So every unit will become more and more compact. What you are saying is also correct, that basically we will have to find same space being, usable for different purposes, but every unit will become more and more compact, not the vice versa. All the, gated community having the common gym will go away. People may not like to use the common gym. So things will certainly will change.
So I think just we'll take a perspective of Venki as well. So I mean, there are two different perspectives there, and that's an interesting thing, right? That one view is that we should have more open spaces, more larger spaces to kind of store in and study, right? And most of us would agree that there will be a new concept of study or a small office space to be there in the apartment itself, so we can always deal with this kind of scenarios going forward. Or maybe there is a habit now, you have understood the trick of working from home, and therefore many times you don't want to step out the house because you can skip some meetings and just kind of be productive more. So from that perspective, Venki, what is your belief that how the design would change or the landscape would change, and just not the residential but even from the commercial perspective?
Yeah, I think I have two perspectives. One is from the master planning perspective. I think all of us are here contained at home at the lockdown. I'm sure things are going to open up, and we will be going to our offices. We will be moving out in the months to come. But I really feel I have a different point of view. I think the gated communities are going to gain prominence, because what would happen is, while you would want to go out of your house, you may not want to go out too much to enjoy the basic social amenities. So the integration of the social amenities, for example, the gym, the play areas to your house is going to gain more importance. That's my view. The second is, I would agree with Mr. Mayur Shah that, more compact homes, and that's more to do with the aligning your product to the market, and the ticket size will come into vogue. So while on the master planning side, you will be pushing your limits a bit more to get more social amenities. On the unit plan side, you will be trying to make it more and more tighter to keep the ticket size of the product more optimal.
Is there any different view, or anyone want to add to that?
I would echo Venkatesh saying that everything starts with master planning, Amit. And so in master planning, the 3 Ds are going to play an important role. That is de-densification, decentralization, and decluttering. So the real estate also will pick up from that, and on that particular fabric, real estate will also start putting their emphasis. I think the kind of a self-dependent communities or independent communities which are going to come up, and the designs which are integrated design, where shopping, residential, and even work, all that put together, integrated townships, that's probably looks like the kind of a future. Those who are staying in isolated independent buildings, they would like to move to these kind of complexes. So I think that in about 2 to 3 quarters, maybe it will be too early to say, but 2 to 3 quarters itself, the real estate, particularly residential, will start enjoying the benefits from the people who would like to experience the new, safe, and hygienic lifestyle.
So if I could add a perspective from public infrastructure and public real estate point of view, a lot of emphasis was already being put in places like airports on contactless traffic flow. And I think some of those principles will need to be applied even in commercial real estate, where just like an airport, you should be able to enter without a physical checking. There should be some sort of technology deployed in how you're screening people, and even within the system, how to what extent you can make the traffic flow contactless will be, I think, an important consideration. And it's not just COVID. I think what COVID has done to the world at large is make us more aware of, how our cultural practices had been impacting our proneness to diseases. And I think that is going to change as people get more, understand their risks when they are exposed to bacteria and viruses in public spaces.
That makes a lot of sense. And there would be, there would be a lot of models to rethink about that, whether there would be a biometric required in the office space for you to do. Moving on from there, right? I have two kind of important questions to understand, mainly from the construction question. So what COVID has led to, instead of taking from there, what COVID has led to, two undercurrents for sure, is a work from home and a kind of what you call about a fall of urbanization. So do you think that work from home will lead to fall of urbanization and will boost the rural development or the development of small towns and technology, just from small townships, right? So I don't no longer want to stay in Bangalore or Bombay, and maybe I would go and stay in a native place and still work from home and still have the infrastructure and facilities out there rather than kind of congesting Bombay or Bangalore, the largest cities. So what's your view on that?
Yes, according to me. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. According
to
go
ahead, and we can then come to Sharat again. Yeah, go ahead, Sanjay.
If we don't get any particular solution or a vaccine for the COVID, the people will prefer to stay at home and to work from home. And that will make the difference. Those who used to use bigger offices will prefer small offices. And when we'll get the vaccine or solution for the COVID, then the perception will be different. But till then, the rural 2-tier, 3-tier cities will be developed, according to me.
You see, again, desk work can be done from home, not the production. Production has to be done in the factory.
Yes.
The warehousing has got to be done in the workplace. So there are two types of work. One which you can do from home, what you cannot do from home. So there are two quite different types of jobs.
So I'll come to the, Mr. Goel, I'll come to the manufacturing side, and I have a question back to back with that. But moving from that, assuming this is a culture, do you think that this will lead to a fall or decongesting the cities? I mean, the entire behavior pattern.
I believe certainly.
Yeah. People will prefer social.
Some people will definitely start working from home. Some jobs will definitely go to home rather than at a workplace.
See, I think given that India is still a country 31% urbanization, we cannot assume that urbanization will drop from here. Yes, certain companies will put into place VCP practices which will enable at least part of the workforce to work from home on a regular basis so that the VCP plans are adjusted. But I think a lot of operations, because of system integrity issue, because of IT security issues, will not be amenable to work from home over an extended period of time. One thing which we have still not found out, and we will probably after the end of this crisis, is how many corporate frauds have taken place during this period, because the systems and IT systems have been lax because of work from home. So I think the jury is still out on whether work from home is a successful model or not.
Sure. Rahul, do you have any perspective around that point on fall of urbanization?
Yeah, I was thinking that not exactly fall of urbanization, but this migration, which was happening, creating of the mega cities like Bombay and NCR, which sees people coming from all across the tier 2 towns and so on. I think the difficulties that those people faced while this COVID situation and so on will make many of things, go back to their hometowns and rather live with the family than to be stuck alone in this mega town. So I think we may see some bit of reverse migration taking place going forward, and that can also become a trend. And that will bring the fillip to the tier 2 towns. So far, we have been talking about the potential of tier 2 towns, but it's actually not materialized. It's always been attracted by Bombay and NCR. I think to some extent, we will see the growth of tier 2 towns because of this situation. And I think going forward, work from home will be an important component. But as people said, Places like Bombay, the real estate is really expensive, and you can't, marry the two requirement. One is bigger houses and an economical one. So again, that will lead to people, going a bit further away from the mega towns and occupying bigger places, because that then meets the requirement. So yes, reverse migration is, I think, one potential thing that we will see going forward.
So that's an important perspective. Mayur, do you have any perspective on that?
Yeah, I think urbanization will continue as it is happening in Mumbai MMR. Maybe the outskirt is growing, So you have all peripheral area where self-contained small townships, or Vasai Virar, or Kalyan Dombivli. So that cities are expanding, and that is how the urbanization will continue. The work from home, I think, is only to the certain industry or maybe IT related, where individualistic work is required. But when the work is happening in collaboration, the people really have to come to the office space and work. So I think that's just a temporary phenomenon, but ultimately office spaces will be required.
So therefore, let me come to the next point and bring a perspective on also from a commercial side, right? So automation in manufacturing and increased demand for warehousing. There might be a virtual presence across schools, hospitals, and offices. What does this new way of doing business, right, across the industries, maybe manufacturing to virtual presence of offices, would lead to? And what does it mean more from a design perspective, more from a how to build a new infrastructure perspective, and also to deal with that, what do you as a real estate fraternity would look at this new way of automation? Maybe robots will be there as a new workforce in a lot of manufacturing. So how do you deal with all those things? Anyone who want to start with? Mr. Goel, you want to start with that?
Yes, I would say that because, see, I'm coming from the manufacturing background.
Yeah.
There are two issues which will happen. One, that basically each company will have to look into the supply chain. So just in time, it will be basically completely gone. People will have to build enough stock to take care of any exigency, number one. Number two, that basically what will happen that, you see, unfortunately, it's not a very good situation for the worker viewpoint. Every company will go more and more on automation and mechanization both. So this will not, so government will have to think a completely different view. They will have to increase the wage rate and also talk about the productivity. So they will have to ease the labor norms to allow the people to be paid higher. And as you said in the previous question, that there will be reverse migration, which is also correct. People will, so there has to be quite an attraction for a person to migrate from village to the city and to go through the grind to earn enough money. So that's one fundamental issue which will take place, that all the warehousing space. I built a factory, I'm saying more than 300,000 square feet, and we have very limited space for the warehousing because we thought that goods will come and goods will go. But now we are thinking of a larger warehouse. It's a completely different perspective. Just to give you a real example, one of the company in Germany has paid to our parent €2 million extra to produce the goods and keep in our warehouse, so that when lockdown opens in Germany, they are in a position to lift all the material and to ramp up the production. Just to give you a small example, real life example.
So makes sense. So you're saying that people would increase the automation in the factories and they would also stock more, and just in time maybe have to, or one will have to rethink on the just in time approach.
Yes, definitely.
Mr. Shimpi, do you have?
We'll have a relook. Everyone will have to have a relook.
I would definitely say that yes, what we'll have to do is that in case of manufacturing, if the employment is going to come down, the real estate, construction and infrastructure industry, being second or third largest employer in the country, they will have to step up. And this has to happen considering that we have to invest more and more into affordable housing and increase our customer base itself. Once that happens and once the construction comes back, then in that particular case, we will able to generate enough employment, and the stress which will come because of automation in manufacturing and services sector, that we will able to absorb and contribute to the national well-being. That is something which I believe, and the developers will have to pick up this particular mantle of generating more and more jobs.
So So you're saying that the real estate will have to pick up the burden from the manufacturing industry, because with automation there is a need, or will reskilling the same employees or same workforce will be
Yes.
a mandate?
Upskilling will have to be definitely be done. I'm not saying that real estate and construction industry will not be going for automation, but while they go for automation, if we increase our customer base by serving those people who are currently staying in slums and dilapidated settlements and start offering them solutions, then we'll have more to build. And once we have more to build, then there'll be more employees which will basically find themselves in the construction and real estate and infrastructure industry.
Sure, makes sense. Is there any a perspective you want to add, or I'll kind of jump to the new next question, which is more to deal with the business models. So,
hey Amit, before you jump to the next question, we have one audience question that can you hear me?
Yeah, you can go with one audience question, and then I will again jump to the next question, Eric.
Yeah, exactly. We have an audience question that's relevant to what we've been discussing. So a lot of this conversation has been focused around how some people will be able to work from home, but productions and warehousing, that's going to have to be in the actual factory, right? So we're seeing this dichotomy in the labor force. The question is, as new technologies are emerging with robotics, AR, and the ability for people to actually see what's happening in the factory and control what's happening in the factory while being remote, how does the panel think that these specific technologies may really make a difference going forward? And are there any technologies that the panel thinks people, whether it's startups or corporates, should really focus on from an investment or a development standpoint that can make a big impact going forward?
If I could take that one,
Sure.
I think we've got some interesting perspectives from the part of the business that we deal in. And I think there are applications in the construction and real estate businesses. I think video technology and video analytics is one area where we've seen tremendous potential in terms of remote working and even integrating some facilities. For example, in Europe, they are working on models where ATCs for multiple airports can be handled out of one location. And I think there are similar technologies that could be put to work where we are able to automate the entire process of supervision of a building site or a large facility on an ongoing basis.
Makes sense. I think that leads to the business model question. And I mean, we have close to around 5,000 people who are on the platform right now. And there are many who are watching Facebook Live. So this is an interesting discussion which we are heading towards. One question before I jump to the rapid fire is, what do you think are the policy measures which the government should look at or change considering the new paradigm of business or doing business? So just one policy measure which you think should be relooked at, and a very brief answer for that, so that we can take multiple perspectives. We can start with Sanjay ji, and then we can move to Mayur, and then
Government should take some action to exempt stamp duty or GST or property taxes for some period, for some certain period, because to revive the this sector, real estate sector, and to complete the existing projects also. Without that, without government support, we can't survive. And then if they will take the steps like this, then only this real estate industry will survive.
Sure. So taxes need to be kind of shrunk.
Yeah, I agree. The demand side push is required, because see that we are almost on a standstill, and we really need to incentivize, and buyers should be motivated to buy very quickly. And one of the suggestions which I have is if the home mortgage rate is, this was done way back in 2008 in China by reducing 1.5% of mortgage rate, and that there was a huge revival in the housing market. And I think that is one big push which is required.
Sure. So push in the kind of reduction in the home mortgage rate will lead to the demand. That makes sense. Do you want to go to Rahul? Sharat?
Yeah, hi. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Amit. My name is Rahul Rai. I'm from ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund. I
Yeah, I think bringing back tax incentives for investing in a house and providing tax break for the interest fund phase will also be critical. I think longer period of time, one will have to make people, make it attractive for them to invest in real estate. The other avenues like investing in stock market and so on have a lot of tax benefits. I think if real estate starts once again enjoying a similar kind of benefit, we will see an uptick in demand.
So give tax incentives for investments in real estate would be one of the key driver for generating demand. Sharat?
That's right.
Yeah. So I think the last one that I could add in addition to the tax incentives is reducing the delays and the uncertainty involved in decision making processes at the government level, whether it is in approvals or whether it is in policy directives. I think that would also go a long way in terms of bringing consistency and predictability to the business.
I think completion of project at time is one of the most important saving which a developer can do, because he can manage his working capital much better if he understands when he can complete it. Really makes a lot of sense. Venki, do you want to add to the discussions?
Yeah, I completely agree with Sharat. I think like three things. One is time competitiveness for ease of approvals. The second is, the input tax credit, which they have done away with on the GST. That will give you cost competitiveness. And the third is a combination of reduction in the mortgage rates as well as incentivizing buyers through stamp duty reductions, etc., which is on the demand side. I think a combination of all these three, and I think discussions have been going on for a long period of time on all these three. I think it is time that they push these three at this point of time.
Amit, I would like to add two measures only over here. Amit, one measure is that everybody talked about single window clearance, but I'm saying that for the 2 years time, there should be zero window clearance. That means no permission should be required, and government only should conduct surprise checks on the project, on whether it is real estate, construction, infrastructure, or manufacturing. Allow us to do our work and check only if we are doing wrong. That's going to be a very big measure. And the second measure, which I'm not an economist, but still I would like to suggest, is that abolish direct taxes completely. Abolish income tax, let money be in the people's hand, and let that money go to developer. Instead of asking stamp duty rebates, and instead of asking more discount or more concessions if someone is taking home loan, why not abolish income tax for a period of 2 to 3 years and just collect indirect taxes? That will lead to a kind of a different ballgame altogether in terms of development.
These are some major asks, but I hope some of these things will be taken care of or should be understand. I mean, abolishing the tax altogether and
direct taxes, I'm saying. Abolishing direct taxes and abolishing income tax and allowing money to be in people's hand at this particular moment, just to generate the kind of a demand cycle, not only in our business, but other businesses also.
We are coming towards the kind of end of this discussion, because this is really nice and we are going in a great flow, but we also have a second panel. So let me ask you all two questions, and it's more like a rapid fire, and I had three, but I'll now restrict it to two. So if you were to take one thing from the past, what you will take in current time, and if you were to take one thing from the West, what you will take from the current scenario. So we'll just kind of go in a round. So one thing from the past, which you think is very relevant from an overall industry perspective, and one thing from the West, which we can adapt from an overall real estate perspective. So we can just take this as a kind of a quick rapid fire round. So Mayur?
Yeah, from past, if you look at from 1998, the housing always generated a huge economic boost. It supports 250 in that space. So we must look at it that housing must be revived very quickly, and that will really give an economic boost. And from the West, I would say we need more productivity. Every individual likes productivity from employee, from the skilled laborers. I think we really lag on the productivity of an individual.
Very well said. Mr. Goel?
You see, I would say two different things. If you have to take from the past, I will say go for the compact housing or compactness of the nature, number one. And if you talk to from the West side, then I would say take a little more risk, ignite the demand. Government should act on the igniting the demand, whatever it takes. It should ignite the demand so that every industry, not only, I'm going to say, reality or something else, gets activated.
Yeah, we'll restrict the answer very short so that we can complete this discussion. Rahul?
Yeah, I will just amplify the points we have made previously. So I will say, besides lower mortgage rate, I would also like them to be fixed kind of mortgage rate. So, if you have a lower rate of 6 or 7%.
Which is something which you are taking from the past or West?
It was there in 2007-8 when the market was there. There was fixed 7% loan rate which had come and which had really pushed the demand. So that is one thing that I believe that, if it comes, will help revive the demand. And one thing to learn from the West, I would say that, better planning. I mean, there they start projects after completing the planning and starting the projects, and then there is no intervention. So I think both from project planners point of view and government intervention point of view, once an approval is granted, then one should be able to complete it fast and not get halted in any which way.
Sure, that really makes a lot of sense. Sharat?
Yeah, so I would say entrepreneurship of the Indian promoters from the past and governance from the Western point of view.
Governance and entrepreneurship. So do you think that we had more entrepreneurs in the past and now we are losing that zeal? Or
so I think we've always had great entrepreneurship in different parts of this country. Our entrepreneurs have been very, very innovative in the way they have operated. And I think that's taken a beating in the last few years because of high standards of governance that have been required. And I think the sooner the entrepreneurs accustom themselves and familiarize themselves with the governance standards which investors are looking for, I think they'll be able to find the capital that they require to build some of these projects.
Sure. Venki?
Well, from the past, I would like the government to give the importance and the focus which it had given in the past to this real estate industry. And from the West, it's innovation.
Innovation from the West and focus from the past. Mr. Shimpi?
Relationship and networking capital. That is something I would like to carry forward from the past, because that is only going to take us to tough times. And emphasis on competencies and emphasis on accountability from the West.
Competency and accountability
from the West.
Relationship, and I think India has been known for its relationship and kind of working togetherness. So we need that back, and we need kind of more of that. We do have today. So we are coming together on a single panel talking about this. That shows that we are kind of today aligned, but we need to be more aligned. Mr. Ghodawat.
Yeah, from past we should take the lesson that new development should be in a horizontal manner, it should be in a vertical manner. Because in horizontal development, you can maintain a social distancing also, and people will get spaces also. And from West, we should take technology.
From West, we should take technology, and from past, we should do an horizontal development. Thank you very much. That was kind of a really an awesome panel. We will be starting the next panel soon. So I would thank all of you, and I would just hand over to Eric for a quick thanking note, and then we would close this panel. So it was really an interesting perspective, and I think we should do more as a second brief after this to take this discussion forward. So we'll be just doing that. Eric, over to you.
Thank you so much. You guys have the privilege of meeting my boy. This is Gary. The pleasures of working from home. So thank you once again to all the panelists. The only regret is that we didn't have enough time to get to more audience questions. Actually, we had over 300 people submit questions. So what we're going to do is at the end of this event, we'll send out a poll for people who want to get more involved in Corpgini and stay connected so that we can keep connecting the really smart and motivated, passionate audience with expert panelists like those that have shared their time with us today to keep this momentum going forward about how we can all learn from each other and leverage each other's talent and experience in this time of crisis. So we'll keep people updated on how to stay involved. So I'll say thank you once again to all of our panelists. What we're going to do now is ask our panelists to sign off. You can all wave a thank you, and I'll say a thank you on behalf of.
Thank you.
We have We have thousands of people on right now. So thank you on behalf of the thousands of people. Please, namaste. I really appreciate you sharing your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
we'll send
So
out a
we
quick
have-
poll just to get a sense of the audience, what you thought about, how useful it was, so that we can, think about where to improve. Then what I'm going to do, you should have that poll now.
So we have the
is-
poll now. I think we will just our next session is going to start at 12. The next panel discussion is going to start at 12. But in the meanwhile, we'll just do a little more formal discussions in the next 15 minutes. So I think we can request the other panel members to kind of log off. And if you still want to continue for the next panel discussion, then I think the Corpgini team will put you in the panel mode or an audience mode. So Mir, can you do the back end thing so that we can do it? And I will request you to kind of switch off your video at least and mute yourself so that we can carry forward the discussion to the next discussion.
Perfect. So we have about 10 minutes until the next panel starts. So what I would say is, Amit, if you can, right now, why don't you take a few minutes just to talk?
We are at 11:50 India time now. And the next panel is going to start in 10 minutes exactly.
10 minutes.
So yeah. So we already have Mr. Shah there. And we will do a quick chit-chatting for the next 10 minutes around what happened, what his view around that, and then kind of we will introduce Utsav and the second panel to be there exactly at 11:58 so that we can start at 12 noon. So Mr. Shah, two questions for you.
Sure.
What were your key takeaways from the panel, previous panel discussion?
Well, I'm sorry, I was a little on and off from the discussions that were going on. But what I realized is that the new normal is what this whole panel discussion gave a kind of way ahead of what's the new normal. I mean, that is the essence of what I realized that you guys did today.
Sure. So then let me jump to the first two questions which we asked the other panel members, and I'll take this opportunity to ask you also a question. If you were to change one thing in your office, what is the new one redesign you will opt for in the office once you go back to office after the normalcy?
I think, as Eric mentioned, how do I maintain the love, affection, and that feeling of a family with putting technology as the topmost thing, So I think this is the ideal combination that I'm looking for. So technology, yes. So we are already on MS Teams and whatever else we can do. And yet at the same time, maintain the love, the affection, the family kind of environment. Because today I have realized that my brother is in USA, but Amit, with whom I'm working, he is going to come to give me relief faster than my sister, my brother, my best friend.
Sure.
So whom I work with is my family.
Whom you work with is your family. So let me go to the next question. That therefore, what will you do as one design change in your house post this COVID scenario? So if you want to do some changes in your house, what is that something which you're looking forward, considering the maximum amount of time you would have spent at house in the last many years at the stretch?
Yes, I think a good music system, I feel, where the things can play in the whole, everywhere in every corner of the home. Second will be kind of virtual games that we can play with. And third would be how we can meditate together. So these are the few things that I will.
Entertainment and meditation. So both place for both silence and meditation, and place for entertainment is the new norm.
And how do I connect with all my friends also, because everybody wants to talk to somebody every day, and relatives, friends, and we are finally social animals. So it's what makes us tick is the connect.
So
if I may ask a follow-up question on that, Amit, if I may. So you mentioned You mentioned, Mr. Shah, you know, the importance of having both the family, the work, and the entertainment, and the peace, meditation in the home.
Yeah.
But whereas in the past, you know, people would often leave their work at work, and the home was a place of peace. Now, with technologies of innovation and communication, right, people find themselves working from home, particularly more senior. And now, with all these trends, the new normal post COVID-19, it's going to become increasingly difficult to separate, you know, your home space from your workspace. Do you have any personal suggestions you can offer to people about, you know, what you found to be effective where you're working from home, but how you can still have sort of a mental and an emotional separation to keep yourself in balance?
Eric, it's a beautiful question you have asked. And I think this should be the most relevant thing that everybody has realized. See, and I answer this question a little longish way. I am
Sure.
in a family business.
We have still 2-3 minutes to kind of for the next panel. So yeah, take 2-3 minutes to answer that, or
So,
we will ask a couple
yeah.
of more.
So I have been in a family business where the business started 55 years back by my parents and my grandfather. I've always believed that work, your family has to gel together. Somehow other, although I'm an MBA, I'm doing my, when I meet some of my corporate friends and then they say home different and work different and all that. And I used to always ask myself, boss, you can't do it. If I am not happy with my colleagues, I will not be happy with my wife and my children. And so is the case. If my children are not happy in school, they will not happy with over here. So I think everybody has realized that the work and home has to be together. And it is on the culture of the company that how he is able to promote. So, Amit, you won't realize that one of the key things I have done in the last 2 weeks is to ensure that people get books on Vipassana. People are able to do Anapana meditation.
I'm also a Vipassana practitioner. So we have a company here.
Right. So I did my first course in January 95. I was the person who was very much associated with my firm was the architect for the Global Vipassana Pagoda at Gorai.
Yeah.
So so yesterday we had Vallabh Bansali, who taught us Anapana to everybody around. So I feel that work and this, has to go together. And you need to have that connect. See, you have done a course. So, at the end of the 10th day, we give Maitri. So every day when I'm meditating twice a day, I give Maitri to everybody, to the whole world, to the people who are suffering from COVID, to the doctor, the nurses, the policemen, to everybody, to the research scientists that they are able to come out with a vaccine, with the medicine, and and stuff like that. And the moment I come to know somebody is in pain, depression, I immediately give Maitri to him. So this is how I'm trying to have work and this together.
Mr. Shah, this is very critical. So I think I will emphasize on this point that everyone who is doing a prayer at home, you may be of any religion, but at the end of the prayer, just kind of give the blessings you have got from the God to the people who are there working because they need to go and work, maybe in hospitals, maybe in police force, etc. Just do that. And to that note, you will also get a message or a mail from us or a poll from us that we are supporting PM Cares Fund for contributing. We are not charging anything. This is just all free. Everyone has come together just to do it. So there will be a chat in the chat box. You have that. So do donate for the people who need money at this point in time. So all this money is just going to go to the PM Care Fund. So please feel free to donate whatever you can do from your side.
One thing I wanted to share that we have Peter Rich and Mr.
We have just we just last 1 minute, so you can take that last 1 minute, all yours, and then we will go to these things. Just go ahead, Mr. Shah.
Yeah. So Eric, have I replied to your question?
Yeah, in a beautiful way. I really like the way you accentuated the change about how family and business can no longer be seen as a dichotomy, but needs to be kind of brought together in terms of business culture. So please continue.
Right. So I wanted to say a couple of things about Mr. Ratan Tata. I found out a few things, which is not in the public domain, but would be very interesting for people to know. So before he starts speaking at 12, I just wanted to share that. Secondly, I wanted to talk to Mr. Peter Rich. See, one thing I have realized now as the president of Credai MCHI, that Mumbai needs to be slum free. MMR needs to be slum free. The country needs to be slum free. All have realized how fragile these millions of people are today. Sometimes I wake up in the night कि क्या होगा इन लोगों का, खाना नहीं मिलता है, पीना नहीं मिलता है, they are not, what disease they will get, one doesn't know. So one great responsibility that all of us who have, me as a developer, me as the president of Credai MCHI, is that what do we do? And I think the time has come where we need to make this a national priority and see how Mumbai MMR can become slum free. And since Mumbai and MMR has the highest number of slums, whatever we do here will be copied by everybody in India.
Then, Nainji, I think we need to kind of log off now. We take your note that we need to have Mumbai slum free, not Mumbai, but kind of an entire India. And kind of we have audiences from all across the globe. So we just want to be ensure that everything goes well with everyone who's staying at home. Be safe, stay healthy. We'll log off. And Eric, you may want to just introduce Utsav, and then then we'll take to the next panel.
So thank you, Mr. Shah. Thank you so much for joining us.
I wanted to rush this. Thank you.
We wish we had more time, but thank you so much.